Thank you so much. That's quite funny. Thank you, Gemma. Ma'alolele, talofa lava, kia ora. As you can see, my name is Rachel Afeaki Taumoepeau. Much to my husband's delight, who'd love me to drop my Afeaki name and just carry his name, but until then I said, don't worry. I think people know me as Rachel Afeaki more so. I was born and raised in Auckland. I'm of Tongan descent. I'm a first generation New Zealand born Pacific Islander. My parents are from Tonga. They met in Auckland and fell in love and got married and have my brother and sister and I. I was educated at University of Auckland and I studied business and did a postgrad in commerce. I'm currently married to my handsome husband Afeaki Taumoepeau, and we have 4 lovely sons, and I've lived in Hamilton now for 12 years. When Gemma asked me to speak at this event, I was truly honoured and to be part of this program, and the topic I found incredibly challenging to speak into. As a result, I started having numerous conversations with a lot of different people to sort of discuss what failure meant to them, and I think for myself, I had to sort of sit back and reflect on my life and identify some key failure moments in my life. And I'll be quite honest, I had to talk with my husband about what I considered to be a failure and not. But thank goodness I was able to identify quite a lot, and and going back to the term epic failure. I think my my journey is that I'm currently a professional director. I currently sit on a number of governing boards, both national and locally. I currently do a lot of work in the community, particularly for Pacifica people. I have a strong interest in economic development and social development. But if I look back 20 years ago, yes, I'm not a millennial, but 20 years ago, my sister, she set up, she is a social entrepreneur today. She set up a business, and her and I are both very different in our own right. She's a socialist. She has a heart for people, and she called me over. I was then living in London, and she called me back to come back, and she said, "This is the opportunity, Rachel. The current government is in a position where they are helping Pacifica people. You've got to come back. This is the moment." So I came back and I worked with my sister. We were so different. As I said, she was a social animal, and I was probably more considered a capitalist at heart. And we worked together, and she was a visionary, and I guess at the time I was more an ops person. I was introducing professional development into the business, and what we were delivering was a social service, which is now a successful social enterprise today. Unfortunately, our working relationship suffered as a result because we were so different. Yet we were so right in our own minds and what we were doing. We were both leaders in our own right. We both were correct in what we were delivering, but we just couldn't agree and sort of come to a converging point where we could deliver the best out of what we both had to offer. I guess the failure there was the relationship suffered and we went our separate ways, and I left that business partnership feeling very crushed and very disappointed in the way both my sister and I ended our relationship, working relationship that is, because you can't get rid of your family, can you? But it's interesting nowadays, now we look at each other now, we still work together. My sister is a successful social entrepreneur, but we look back, and one of the things we realise is that at the time, this is 20 years ago, and for young Pacifica women to set up their own enterprise, their own business in South Auckland and work with government and education institutions, it was very new for our community in particular. We did not have mentors, and we look back now and think, had we had a mentor that was able to speak into our lives and speak into what our strengths were and what we could bring to the table to bring, I guess, epic success to the business at the time, it would have worked very well for us. Funnily enough, today, both my sister and I mentor young leaders and young business leaders now because we understand it's really important for young people starting up an enterprise and business, and actually anything, even in leadership, that you do require a mentor to speak into your life. So we went our separate ways. I think for me, I went on a searching journey, and I started to sort of figure out what I wanted to do, because I did a lot of travelling, I worked in a lot of businesses, but I guess I hadn't identified my purpose. And what I came to recognise was that I was failing to see a real level of leadership amongst my own Pacifica community at the time, and this was 15 years ago. So I was failing to see leadership amongst Pacifica women, I was failing to see leadership amongst my own community. I was fortunate to go to a leadership conference, and it was a faith-based one, and I was listening to the founder of Bartercard speak on leadership, and I was actually a bit arrogant because I thought I'd already learnt enough about leadership, about all you needed to know to be a leader. And I wasn't too keen on taking any notes, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to receive what I have to receive, and if anything that's not of interest to me will fall deaf to my ears. Interesting enough, in my inner spirit, I kept saying, oh, where are the leaders, where are the leaders? And actually my inner spirit said to me, you are a leader, you know, step up. And so the vision that I was seeing, that there weren't any leaders, and I thought it was a failure to, you know, my own Pacific community, I stepped up to that inner call that I heard, and decided to become a leader in my own community. As a result of that, doors began to open, and I think it was the beginning of my journey into governance and into sitting on a lot of boards. The establishment of the New Zealand Tonga Business Council, which is an organisation that promotes and encourages two-way trade between Tonga and New Zealand, was the beginning of my leadership journey. And that was a result of recognising that I'd failed to see role models or Pacifica leadership in my own community. As a result of that, the Rugby World Cup happened in 2011, and if you can recall, Tonga was playing the All Blacks at the opening match. And all of a sudden, the New Zealand government didn't have a go-to or a conduit between Tonga and the New Zealand government. The establishment of the New Zealand Tonga Business Council became the conduit. So I was the founding chair, and I was to establish an executive of 13 males to sit around the table with me. Long story short, when the Tongan team arrived for the Rugby World Cup, we had 7,500 people turn up at the Auckland airport, and that caused havoc. But I mean, it was amazing havoc, because I think the Rugby World Cup woke up, and all of a sudden it became very cool to wave a Tongan flag on your car. So you know, the second nugget there is that, you know, I came to, you know, you've got to recognise and come to know who you are called to be. I guess I was seeking leadership. I was looking for leaders, but maybe that inside call in my heart was that was who I was called to be, and I was able to recognise that and articulate it over the next 10 years from 2011. In the 10 years, and what I came to recognise, that the connections I made in government, central and local, and in community, was going to determine my destination where I am today. So that was my second big failure that I was able to learn from. So, and I think probably my most recent, avenue of looking at possibly feeling like a failure was really 10 years ago, my mindset thinking of it was my age. So I'm a bit of a late bloomer. So I was too busy gallivanting around the world and doing my thing. I met my handsome husband at 33. We got married at 34. And we had our first child at 35. And so, and I had my fourth son at 41. So for me as a Pacifica woman, you know, you can begin to think that, wow, am I still relevant? Or I'm so busy, you know, being a professional director, being engaged in economic and social development for my communities. Am I neglecting my family? Am I neglecting my children? But I guess what I've learnt from that is that because I was able to recognise who because I'm able to recognise that I am a woman of faith, and that I do know that I've been called to be a leader, I know that I've been called to be a spokesperson for my community, that I actually stand confidently and courageously in moving forward as a mature woman. I don't see myself, and I try not to, I'm very positive, I'm very much a half glass full type person. But sometimes within yourself, you can begin to think that, I'm not worthy, I'm possibly too old to be part of this team. What can I offer to a group of millennials? Will they be interested in what I have to say? But I think the nugget here is that, regardless of your age, throughout life you are going to anticipate failure. And I think the fear of failure is really the challenge. And I think for many of us it's more the fear of man, and that can possibly, sort of cause us to sort of step back and not come forward and fulfill our own potential. I am a big fan of John C. Maxwell, and I do believe that, when you fail forward, in doing so is the ability to get back after you've been knocked down and learn from your mistakes and move forward in a better direction. And I think with those three key milestones in my life where I've sort of recognised that I have placed myself into a position of thinking that I am a failure, I've been able to grow from it and learn from it. And I think my word of encouragement to you all here today is that, understand your inner core and what your values are. For me, it is my faith. For me, it is speaking and taking risk and stepping forward and actually believing that what I do believe in is going to happen. When I do move in leadership, I do so in peace and in excellence and goodwill. And my hope is always to bridge the gap between something that is different to what I surround myself with and what people are not familiar with in my space. The most funniest failure I think that happened most recently was last weekend in Ohope, when I was we were staying at some friend's place, and my boys went across the road to the park to a blue light fundraiser, and it was a bike track race, and the kids were all racing on their bike track and they had to go through it, and my 4 boys all competed, and then an adult had to compete, and my husband had to get back and fillet some fish with our good mate Andrew here, and they said, you can ride the bike, Rachel, and I went, oh good Lord, I haven't ridden a bike for like 20 years. And then so the mountain bike, I hopped on and at this track, and they said, go on it. And so I was cycling on, I missed all the planks, and there was this big ramp. And I saw the ramp and I thought, and apparently if you did the ramp, you got 10 seconds taken off your time. And I was approaching the ramp and I was going, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. And I did it. And I did this spectacular fall. And it was amazing. I just went just totally on the ground, and I don't know if you've seen a scene where you just lie there and you look at your children, and immediately I'm going, I've just embarrassed my boys. I can't believe I jumped the ramp. And then and all I could hear was my children cheering for me, and I was going, get up mummy. And my 8-year-old ran and grabbed my bike and ran it across the finish line because he knew it was a time thing. And all the adults were clapping, and I thought, I'm walking back going, oh my gosh. Anyway, as a result of that epic jump, I won the adults, that race for the adults. So in the end, as a result of still giving it a go, but feeling that I had failed for many reasons, I won the prize, and that was really pleasing to my children. I said to my sons, are you proud of your mum? And they said, we're so proud of you, Mum. We didn't think you'd win. So again, life is, I think you just got to give life a go, do your best. I think as a 46-year-old, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and it's easy enough for me to identify my failures. But I think for the younger generation, you're in it, and it's possibly, you probably won't see some key moments in your life where you think that was just terrible, but you look back and you see that somehow you've been stretched. You've been challenged, your mindset has shifted, and to doing something better. And that's exactly what I've learned. Thank you.